Oh, it's the eyes of the snake reflecting off of the lights coming from the tunnel entrance. And Frog says he's gonna go take a closer look. He thinks there's nothing to be afraid of. They're just faintish, glowing, yellowish lights. Faintly glowing yellowish lights. And we definitely hear the snake hissing. And the snake's coming into focus now. Hello, there he is. And just like in the other two versions, the snake says, "Hello, lunch," and slithers out towards Frog and Toad with a smile on his face. So I wonder if that means that he's probably looking at them, getting hungry. He wants to eat them now. And just before they run out of the cave, Toad says, "Those are not lights, Frog, they are eyes." And then they turn around and run away. They run away screaming, "We are not afraid!" But wait, what? The snake doesn't even bother chasing them. He just slithers out of the cave and looks up towards the direction they went. And he looks kind of sad. What does he say? "Oh, drat." Wow, that's the first time I've heard the word drat on this show. And it didn't come from Toad. He hasn't said drat yet. He says, "Oh, drat, looks like I'll be lunching alone again." And then he pulls out the other end of him, his tail, and it's got a plate with a sandwich on it. So, wait, what's going on here? He has a sandwich for lunch, and he says he's gonna be lunching alone again. Does that mean that he almost had an opportunity to have something tastier than a sandwich, a frog and a toad? And the snake says sadly, "I so rarely have guests." Whoa, hold on a second. This is a big change right here. This is a whole different context. Let me listen to this again.
"Hello, lunch?" "Those are not lights, Frog. They are eyes." "We are not afraid!" "Oh, drat. It looks like I will be lunching alone again. I so rarely have guests."
Wow! Are they actually depicting the snake as a good guy here? It seems like this poor snake is just lonely and wanted somebody to join him inside his cave and just share a meal together and just talk and hang out. It seems like this snake just didn't want to eat anybody. He just wanted some company. This is interesting because in the original stories, the snake was actually a real threat. Like, he actually looked at Frog and Toad and called them lunch. And this is, like, absolutely the direction they were going with this in the John Matthews version, because in the John Matthews version, we get a really scary scene with the snake chasing Frog and Toad all over the place and trying to grab them and eat them, and almost does a couple times, but they manage to get away just in time, somehow getting the snake to tie himself up in knots in the process. But none of that happens here. Because, I mean, look, even when I compare the text in the book to the closed captions on Apple TV, that too is very different. Here, let me show you. In the book, let me just read this page first of all. Dragons and Giants, okay. Yeah, they came to a dark cave. A big snake came out of the cave. "Hello, lunch," said the snake when he saw Frog and Toad. He opened his wide mouth. Frog and Toad jumped away. Toad was shaking. "I am not afraid," he cried. For a minute there, I thought there would be a comma between hello and lunch, but it goes like, quote, hello, lunch, comma, end quote. On Apple TV, the closed caption says, hello, comma, lunch, question mark. So instead of the snake calling Frog and Toad lunch, he's asking Frog and Toad if they want to join him for lunch. This is interesting because, of course, in the book, the snake looks really menacing, and in the John Matthews version, he's an absolute predator. But in Frog and Toad Are Friends, in the swim story, there's a snake in that one too, and he's not mean, I don't think. He doesn't even look all that mean. He just laughs with everybody else when Toad comes out of the water and reveals his bathing suit. So this makes me think now that we're probably going to see this exact same snake later when they do an episode about the swim. Oh, this is so cool. Yeah, it's amazing how they're making the Apple TV version a lot less scary than the John Matthews version. Because the John Matthews version is way darker than this. There's a lot more scary stuff in it, a lot more action and suspense. Of course, that was made back in the 80s, so this was made in the early 2020s. And as I mentioned before, this show feels very much like it was designed with Little Bear fans in mind, so I think they were trying really hard to make it a lot more suitable for younger kids. And personally, I think that's a good thing. Now, I didn't see the John Matthews version until I was 8 years old, and by that time I was able to handle the scary stuff that was in Dragons and Giants. So I was okay there, but had I seen that one when I was 4, that might have been nightmare fuel. But if I had seen this when I was 4, I would have been okay with it. Yeah, the John Matthews version is more like a G-rated movie type of show, whereas this is more like a TVY kind of show, like a Nick Jr. kind of thing. That being said, I don't think it makes it any less enjoyable for older kids or adults, especially if they have the patience and the attention span to appreciate a show that's more gentle and slow-paced. So far, I still like both versions, but I will definitely say that the Apple TV version is way more kid-friendly than the John Matthews version. And another reason why I think the snake is innocent is because if he really did want to eat Frog and Toad, then saying something about being lonely and wanting visitors, he would have said that in a much more, devilish kind of way, like with a wicked grin on his face, and said, "Come on in, I haven't had visitors in a long time. I could use some company around here. Come on and join me for lunch." And then he would have tried to trick them that way, but he did not do that. Instead, it wasn't until after Frog and Toad ran away that he said to himself, for us to hear, that he rarely gets any visitors. And it kind of makes sense that he doesn't get many visitors because, I mean, A, he's a snake and some people are afraid of snakes, and B, he lives in a mountain in a cave inside Mount Gloom, so not many people go there, I guess. Reminds me of 2 other shows. In one of the Peanuts specials, It's a Mystery, Charlie Brown is what it's called, Pigpen said that he didn't get very many visitors, probably because everybody was afraid of him being so dirty and stuff. And also, I believe the very first episode of the Koala Brothers, Archie's New Home, Archie the Crocodile came to town, and he moved into a rickety old house by the waterhole, and everybody was afraid of the scary old house, and nobody wanted to go and see Archie until after he renovated the place and cleaned it up. So I'm pretty sure that's the situation that this snake is in right here. And it's amazing how they were able to use the exact same words from the book, but put it into a whole different context. Because all 3 versions say, "Hello, lunch," but Apple TV added the comma and the question mark to sort of make you wonder if the snake wants to eat Frog and Toad at first, and then we find out a few seconds later that he actually means, no, he just wants to eat lunch with his friends, and not make his friends part of the meal. So this is really interesting. Okay, let's move along now. So Frog and Toad are still climbing up the mountain really fast, trying to get away from the snake. They needn't worry anymore, because the snake doesn't even bother chasing them. They're getting far away from the cave and closer to the top of Mount Gloom.